Hi guys, this is Tony Mitra, 26th of July, Sunday, 2020. This is in the morning in western part of Canada. It might be night or late evening in other parts of the world. Today I'm going live to wrap up a little bit of the goings on in the last 3-4 months in this part of the world, and also looking forward. The picture in my mind is not very helpful. It looks on the surface gloomy. The COVID-19 protest and all that, from my point of view, I'm suffering from a bit of a protest fatigue, where people get a little bit tired of doing the same protest without seeing any improvement, without seeing any increase in number of supporters. In fact, the number of supporters are dwindling and we are being continuously marginalized. Can you guys hear me properly? Anyway, we are continuously being marginalized by mainstream media as well as, the general public, which is still very beholden to the television and the politicians and the mainstream media. So it's not very conducive, very helpful to a thinking person where your efforts at protesting against what's going on is not bearing desired fruit. I see some of my childhood friends logging in from India because this is good time for India. It's late evening, while the rest of the world, it's like for instance here in Canada, it's early morning, it's morning. People like to sleep late on Sunday, but in India it's late evening, everybody's home. Because of COVID and all, there's not too much going around, so it's good time. Now, the update from me is, I have said it before, I will not repeat it again. I do not believe COVID-19 to be a serious threat, a threat so serious that the entire economy of the world must be crippled. I do not believe it. Of course, there are statistical reasons not to believe it. I know that the truth is not being projected by the media properly. The statistics are being suppressed, and therefore people are made to believe. Earlier we were saying too many people were dying. Now some smart people have caught on that if too many people are dying from COVID, then the total death, not just COVID, altogether deaths in any season, any year, this season, this month should be more than what was the case last year and the previous 10 years, if you take an average. But the total deaths are not more. In fact, most places total death is less. So that is making people suspicious that there's something wrong in what they're being told. If total deaths are less and so many more people are dying of COVID, that means nobody is dying of anything else. So this is beginning to dawn on, and now news is leaking out that most hospitals, most healthcare workers, most medical professionals are being paid to declare a death as COVID, even if it is doubtful if it's COVID. I heard from a friend, Pintu, from Kolkata, India, that even if you die of a motorcycle accident, you are being, the doctors are obliged to test him for COVID. The test itself is mostly bullshit, and therefore if it shows positive, which doesn't show he was sick, that doesn't say he was sick. It's supposed to have been infected by a virus where the test itself, as I said, is completely unconclusive. Then that motorcycle death is being recorded as COVID. So now that the death figures are beginning to be questioned by smart people, and they are looking for statistics, I believe in countries like India, the statistics is being suppressed. Last year's deaths are being suppressed so that you cannot compare the death figures. So now, anyway, in many countries, they are not talking about death anymore. They are talking about infection. So many more people are getting infected, so many more. that those people infected show no symptom of disease, that those infected are actually don't even have to go to hospital. They're just normal, and they just fight it off without themselves even knowing that they have COVID. So this kind of nonsense is going on anyway. So that's not the reason I was actually making this video. Making this video is that so many people still believe the TV and the mainstream propaganda, that it's disheartening, because people who are protesting, they are being marginalized. Rest of the world thinks that these people are nutcases, they are protesting for nothing and so on. And actually what is behind it all is a multi-million-dollar question. Yes, vaccine is one part of it. Vaccine is completely unnecessary. I personally have not had a vaccine in 60 years. I'm 70 years old. I've not had a vaccine for any kind of infectious disease for over 60 years, since I was 10 years old. And guess what? I have never been infected in those 60 years. I have never had a flu, not even a flu. And it's not that I stay away from everybody and stay under my bed all throughout 60 years. No, I go all over the world. I meet everybody. I don't wear any mask. I hug, share foods with them all over. In 2 years, I was in India nearly. I went in most towns, and many gatherings I was asked to speak. Hundreds of them, thousands of them, milling everywhere in all seasons, in summer, in winter, in fall, in spring. Nothing happened to me. I never got infected, not even once. In Canada, I go everywhere. All over town, I have been invited to speak and all that. I meet everybody everywhere, again in all seasons, and I never get sick. I never get flu. I don't need a scientist to tell me why a vaccine against a flu, which as it is doesn't work, is a must. Vaccine is only, I believe vaccine is only one minor step to what is coming. What is coming is a very hard thing to guess, very hard thing, because the deep state which is controlling it is not talking exactly. Bill Gates talks a little bit here and there, and you can hear that he wants all 7 billion people vaccinated. Without that, nobody will be allowed to live a normal life. You won't be allowed to go to a restaurant or take a flight or take a train or do anything useful, take a job or go to school, unless you take a vaccine or you seriously restrict yourself. That means you perpetually wear a mask, you every time you travel somewhere, you lock yourself up for 15 days, all these kind of things, absurd things you have to do unless you take a vaccine. And then now I hear that since vaccines anyway don't work against flu, you may have to take that vaccine once every 3-4 months. And these are not free. In Western countries, I'm told each vaccine will be $400 something. That's like 20,000 rupees in India for each vaccine. Of course, you won't pay for it. Government will pay for it. But where does the government get the money? Government doesn't have any money unless they take it out of you, one way or another. So either your tax goes up, or some of the services that government provides now will be curtailed, will be reduced in order to make that money. And Bill Gates and people who are shareholders in these vaccine making companies, they are the ones who will be getting fatter and fatter and fatter, while you remain scared and take vaccines and vaccines. But that too is not the end in itself. It's just a step. The mask, the vaccine and all that are probably steps, I'm guessing now, because nobody talks freely. There are lots of opinions. There is Agenda 2030 and Agenda 2021 out there. You can read it. The population control seems to be one primary goal, and to bring the world civilization into another state of equilibrium is another goal. Right now, the world civilization is here. Too many people, too much pollution, too much everything, and it cannot be controlled normally. So the population has to plunge to a lower level very quickly. and then it has to settle down in a different kind of arrangement where those who survive, they have a different kind of civilization, different kind of living arrangement, different kind of movement, where per capita, per human, the pollution is very low. All this seems to be, on one side, an effort to save the planet, but on the other side, the people who decide, those that decide who deserves to live and who deserves to die, is not you. And you have no choice. And your government will cease to exist. You will not be a part of any self-governing entity. Call it a country, or call it a republic, or call it a union of like a European Union and so on. Whatever you want to call it, those will not be there anymore. You as a person will not have a say. It will be decided by you can say a kind of dictatorship, by a faceless, secretive, kind of invisible, non-national, whichever nation you are from, they will be globalist or whatever, they will not be part of your your country. You will be dictated, your country will cease to be a self-governing country. These are probably coming, and before it comes, when the population dive takes place, how that should take place, it's not just that vaccines will kill everybody. Yes, vaccines are dangerous. Yes, I agree, and they are not helpful in controlling any flu. In fact, it is doubtful whether the vaccines are good at controlling anything at all, because it are inherently dangerous. Inherently, there are a couple of reasons for that. I might come to that in a moment, but these are not what is going to bring the population down. Yes, they might reduce their fertility. I believe that it is already happening, not because of just vaccines, but because of the environmental pollutions and the toxins in your food that is already there. You probably know, or maybe you don't know, in North America, where statistics are more readily available, in the last 40-50 years, when industrial poison started being applied to agriculture, and now it's gone everywhere else, but it started here in North America, in this 30-40 years, the sperm count of a adult male, has gone down per milliliter from 120,000 odd to around 40,000 today. And this is one reason conception has become so complicated, so difficult, why so many people need to go to a fertility clinic or take medical help, and so many of the in vitro and out-of-body fertilization and all kinds of surrogate mother, all kinds of things are happening. And if you ask some good scientists, they will tell you, those who watch these sperms in a microscope and see what is happening, how they move, you know that to have a baby, you don't need 120,000 sperms. You need just one good sperm that will go to the egg when you are having sex, and that's it. So why do you have 120,000? This is part of how evolution works. How evolution works is survival of the fittest. That principle works at many levels. So some animals, like say for instance some oysters and some sea creatures, they produce hundreds of thousands or millions of fertilized eggs and let it go without any care, without any parental care or anything. Just let them off. And so is the case with even bigger animals like turtles. They make several hundred eggs and then just leave it under the sand. And then all these babies come up and they have to fight to survive. And eventually, if you see the life cycle of these animals, only few survive. Out of that 120 eggs, maybe only 10 reach adulthood where they can reproduce. But that 10 out of parents, father, mother, is a good increase. Even if it was not 10, if it was only 3, it is still increasing. So this is how, for them, survival of the fittest. Those that survive are the fittest, and those who were not fit, they die and they don't reproduce. So the genetic pool remains strong and gets stronger. This is for them, but for people like animals like us who give birth to just one or two, the technique used is different. One of them is that the child has a very long gestation period. The child born is not able to take care of itself from the day it was born. It is absolutely helpless, and it needs parental care for a long, long time before it becomes self-sufficient, able to take care of itself and eventually grow to produce its own children. But that's after the birth. Yes, it needs tremendous parental care, otherwise the species cannot survive. Human beings cannot survive if babies are left alone at the point of birth. No, the species will go extinct instantly. But there is something else. That one baby that is born is a product of one egg from the mother and a competition among 100,000 sperms that literally race against each other, and the strongest, the fastest, the most agile one manages to win the race. This is how survival of the fittest is played out in the womb of the mother at the time of sex. And even then, half the time, nothing happens. The fertilization doesn't take place. You have to have sex one more time and so on. Now, when you have your sperm count down from 120,000 to 40,000, you are reducing the standard of the race drastically. When people watch the sperms under a microscope, and I have not watched, but I have heard people that have seen, there are a lot of sperms that are defective, especially these days. A lot of sperms don't have any tail, cannot propel themselves. Some of them have two tails and cannot, go round and round and don't have any clear. Some of them have got twisted tail. A lot of them are defective. They have birth defect, they have damage. So the viable sperms that can even hope to get into the race are a fragment of that sperm count. This percentage of healthy ones are also diminishing over time compared to 30, 40, 50 years ago. So first you had a lot of sperms and a lot of them were healthy. Now you have much less sperms and even less of them are healthy. You begin to understand that not only conception is becoming a problem, but those children who will be born will not be from quote unquote the best that could have been. So you are already beginning to lower the standard by simply lowering the sperm count. Now some of the scientists tell me that if the numbers go below 30,000, somewhere in the 20,000s, it will almost become impossible, almost impossible. 1 in 100 or 1 in 1,000 will naturally get conceive, and then they will need assistance. Otherwise, it will become very, very hard. I don't know whether it's true. I can understand that this is a major problem, and that's already happening without vaccines. Now, and also the population pressure is already going to take care of itself. But this rapid fall of the population, I expect, and most smart people are now expecting, is going to happen because of a systemic collapse of our civilization. And that is the actual plan behind all this COVID-19, all that. This cashless society is one step, so that you cannot survive with the money you have saved as cash and go buy things here and there. You will have to use electronic means in a cashless society. And once that becomes mandatory, once that becomes all pervasive, once cash totally disappears, the deep state controls the banking system and the entire monetary policy of every country. Even if you thought you had a reserve bank, National Reserve Bank of your country, which is independent, is not independent. It's part of the same empire, the Rothschilds or whatever childs you want to call them. So what happens is, if you are recalcitrant, if you refuse to take a vaccine, if you refuse to follow orders, vaccines and masks and all are just steps to get you used to obey orders unquestioningly. So if you start questioning, if you start thinking that this what is happening is not real, I'm being forced into insolvency, I'm being forced into a situation where I cannot feed myself, I'm being forced into a situation where most of us will perhaps die out of violence because somebody else wants to steal my food, or because of starvation, because I can't feed myself. So things like this, or I'm going to die of disease, not because of the disease itself, but because I'm malnourished and therefore I'm vulnerable. My immune system is gone and I'm vulnerable to any kind of disease because I'm not healthy anymore. So this kind of situation, if I know and I try to resist, I'm a bad guy, according to this grand plan. So in a cashless society, people like us, people those who protest, people those who do not want to become a slave, their movement, their ability to earn anything, their ability to spend their money will be restricted. Suddenly you find that you cannot go to a restaurant because your money is no good. Although you have a lot of money maybe in the bank, I don't know, but you can't use it. Not to travel, not to get on a plane, not to take up a job properly, or not to do this, not to do that. So if you are a troublesome guy, you can't do anything. You are restricted so badly that either you toe the line and say, okay, I give up, I'll take your vaccine, I'll do whatever you want, I want to live, I want to feed that's what they want. Or you just rebel and eventually die. You eventually do something stupid so that you're killed, or police shoots you, or you land up in jail, in a labor camp, or in a concentration camp somewhere. So many folks today are saying that we are heading for a civil war by end of this year or next year. I don't know if that is going to happen. I don't know if civil war it was practical in the olden days. Whether it's practical today, I don't know. But I know one thing. I really wish 20 years ago I had gotten a gun license and gun training. Today in Canada, it has become nearly impossible to get a gun license. The guns are being banned big time. I suspect the reason behind it is to restrict people's ability to revolt, and that is why guns are being restricted. And you had to wait. I mean, even before COVID, you had to wait maybe a year or something, and then lots of training and all, and you get a license to get something in a conditional way. Today, it's almost dried up. So only people who will have guns are those that already have a license and have one, or those who get them illegally or something. But this is going to become an issue. I know a lot of people are now trying to get themselves armed just to save and protect their family. I don't know when or if or in what shape this so-called civil war will come, but people are saying that they will come. In fact, lots of Canadians are saying this will come. Lots of Americans are not only saying, they're preparing for such a doomsday. Some say it will trigger the day the election gets over in USA. Irrespective of whether Trump wins or loses, there will be a civil war. One group of states will not want to live with the other groups of states, mainly on the issues of freedom, slavery, and independence, conception of independence, and so on. I don't know if that is true or not, but I hear about it quite a lot. I personally made this video to say that I am stepping back from day-to-day protest because I have protest fatigue, and well, somebody said something, I can't read fully. All of our worries and our cares will be the best. Yeah, you are correct. So that is a comment from, who is this? Very long comment. Barry Brown. Okay. Tina Brown, Barry Brown, thanks a lot. So anyway, I'm thinking of stepping back because I have protest fatigue and I don't see things changing. Obviously, the roadside protests are not working according to me. I would still like to talk to those people that are not joining the protests, like ordinary people. That's why I go door to door, leave a pamphlet, try to talk to residents, and try to go at a time when they are likely to be at home rather than away from home. That's early morning hours or late evening hours, and so on. And try to engage. It's also a thankless job. Most of them think you're nutcases. Only 1 in 100 think you have a point. And try to reach a topic that is not so divisive. For me, that topic is taxes are going up while economy is going down. Whether you believe in COVID or don't believe in COVID, that's a common thing. Everybody can agree. They can see the economy is going down. They can see so many businesses are shut down. So, and that they can see the taxes are going up. So, and nobody wants to pay too much money. So everybody wants to save some money. So these are the things I'm trying at the ground level. And as far as social media is concerned, I'm thinking of connecting wider. I have some contact across Canada and some across USA and also some across the world. In fact, one interesting thing here is I'm getting a lot of friendship requests. I have always received friendship requests from outside of Canada or far away from here. But lately I'm getting a lot of them from India, and that's a little bit of a intriguing thing for me. I suspect, although I cannot prove it, that if civil war or conflict against pushback against this global takeover happens, it will likely happen in countries where there are less educated, property owning middle class. I think the middle class are losing their spine. They have too much to protect: houses, property, car, blah blah, and they are less likely to join a civil war, so to speak. And those who are those countries where there are more people with less possession and very little to lose and everything to gain, they are the ones who are likely to fight back, which is why I suspect countries like, say for instance, Mexico, India, these countries are more ripe to resist. This is just my opinion. Although China has a huge population similar to India, but China is under such an iron grip control and dissent is so seriously suppressed, that I don't know China can pull it off. But India still is technically a free nation, and its rambunctious political system, socio-economic system allows differences of opinion to survive. I somehow suspect that these countries might actually show the way. So one way or another, I'm intrigued that so many friendship requests comes from India, and I see some of my comments that the COVID-19 is fake and it's under a grand plan is not completely thrown out. There are some of my friends who don't believe me, some of my childhood friends or college friends who don't believe me. That's fine. If you listen to TV all your life or long time, you're likely to believe what you hear, and that's what humans are. They align themselves with nearby people, whatever they say. But there are lots of individual thinkers who are beginning to understand that there is something wrong in what's going on now, and it could well be that they are about to lose whatever freedom they thought they had. Whatever little they had is going to go, and they're becoming mass slaves to engineer a very rapid fall of population where they don't have a control to decide who lives and who dies. And all this is going to be done non-democratically. So that's it. But apart from that, this going live thing, I have always gone live so far on my hand phone. That's you're looking at me through a Samsung hand phone. They're good. I used to use an iPhone before, but I got fed up with their batteries, and I changed to this Android when I was in India, and they are good value for money, and I did not think of changing back anymore. But handphones have their limitations, and this one is vertical orientation. Somehow this Android doesn't allow horizontal, which I believe iPhones still do. Some Android phones do allow, but this newer one with the better camera, somehow it doesn't allow. I believe it's something to do with the software. Anyway, that's not the point. I want to start using proper DSLR and mirrorless cameras that I have, which I use for taking birds and nature pictures and so on. I want to use them to go live. I know that some professionals and others do go, and most normal people may not go because they may not have that kind of camera, but I do. Not for going live. I had them for, as I said, wildlife and bird pictures, like cameras like this attached to a big lens. Now it has a smaller lens, but you have a big lens and all, and you can take pictures. But the cameras are there and they can be used. So I'm thinking of using those for going live, but it's not seamless. Cameras don't have a SIM card where you can go directly online and all that. And besides, going directly online out on a SIM card is not as fast as if you can go on a high-speed system with Wi-Fi connected somehow to your home Wi-Fi or your laptop or something. So most people at home, at least, they use those that use big cameras, they do it connected to a computer and use high bandwidth Wi-Fi. And I want to do that because I have all the stuff except what little bit is needed to make it work. You need a few small software, some wiring and all that. So I'm looking at it, and I intend to go live, if I at all go live much, using those cameras, or even smaller cameras like even these ones. They can also be very good for going live, high quality pictures, and whichever way you want, this way, that way, all that is possible. You can control the video, you can control the zoom, you can do a lot of things. So I'm working on that, and I eventually want to go that way. Other than that, I have some questions about going live, the value of going live. And there's a lot of comments here. I'm losing track of them. Okay, Tina Brown, she's saying that here in Edmonton area, only a handful of are protesting. Yeah, that's a sad state of affair. Young people who normally have time and energy to protest have fallen in line, probably because they are used to having their lives scheduled and controlled and so on. And by helicopter parents. As you said, Tony, the older adults are still trying to hang on to what they all along are looking after their kids, etc., hoping someone else will stop this insanity, but not realizing they are helping the enemy. Yeah, Tina, I completely agree with you. And whatever we are doing, we are not doing for ourselves. Most of my life is behind me. I don't have too many years to live. I'm 70, like I said. So I don't care if I die tomorrow, but I would rather die fighting for freedom on my feet than live on the last few years of my life crawling on my knees like a slave. So yeah, that's there. We are doing it for the younger generation, but younger generation is not up to it, unfortunately. But this is part of the problems of civilization, westernization, too much liberalism in your education, where one thing that it is not told to us is that freedom is not snowflakes. It does not come down from the sky because it's a blessing from the heavens. No. Freedom is something you have to earn, you have to fight for all the time. You can lose freedom just like that, and then you will have generations of struggle to get it back. This is something that is not being taught. This is something, freedom is being taken for granted, and that is one of the problems. But in countries where freedom is not so easy, even if it is politically, it is considered to be a free country, but people are not free. They are still shackled to a a regime where they don't get recognition, they don't get protection, they don't get state protection, they have to live hand to mouth, and those people that have nothing much to lose and everything to gain, those who are, basically if they're not employed for 7 days, they can't feed themselves, and they are not on any regular paycheck, they're day workers, and they live on daily wages, and when industries shut down, they don't have any employment, they don't know how to feed them. These are the kind of people who are likely to revolt. And this is why I am beginning to think that westernized education is not actually education. It's just training for a skill so that you can get a standard job controlled by somebody else. You are a good worker for some industries. You are not educated. It doesn't give you wisdom. The best quality of education is when you begin to question, once you grow up, when you consider yourself educated or trained, that you begin to question what you have been educated and whether all that is correct, or whether all that was correct then but not correct now, and whether something needs to be changed. When you begin to question and come and look for new levels of wisdom, then only you can say you have been, educated to be wise, not educated to be a parrot, just gurgling out, regurgitating out whatever the books tell you. So the real education is not being given. Just skills are being taught so that you can pick up some sort of a job, controlled by someone else. So this is my current rant. I am trying very hard to go into these, and I'm trying to learn how to go live using this mirrorless cameras. These ones are all mirrorless by Sony, and I'm trying to connect up. I have a MacBook Pro laptop and reasonably fast Wi-Fi. I don't know how long all this will stay before everything goes up in smoke. But as long as they're there, I would like to. There is Holly. How are you, Holly? And there is a Haresh Kumar Nayak. Hello. There's Iris Harris also. Hello. And many other regular people. So I am thinking of doing all this. I have, as I said, I have protest fatigue. I don't see numbers growing, and if numbers are not growing, we are losing the battle, and we are going to lose the war. This war, if it is not an armed revolt, then if it is peaceful, then it needs the numbers. Absolutely. It needs more than majority of the people saying that we don't want it. But right now, that's not happening. The propaganda wins. And also people, the middle class and the so-called younger generation is being groomed to, fall into this particular category where getting a job, being shackled to the system is the most important. There is nothing else to do. So this is one problem of our education system. This is one problem why younger generation, I think, in the Western societies are not protesting. There are, of course, always exceptions. We know 13, 14, 15-year-old to 25, 30 years old that are protesting and that are able to protest without jeopardizing their jobs. Some of them are wearing masks because they don't want to show their face. Some of them have almost lost their job because of protesting, or because they are objecting to wearing a mask and so on. Even doctors, if you think that doctors are honest healthcare workers, they are not. They are controlled by the big mafia. The entire medical profession is in iron grip of this medical cartel. Your license to practice is controlled by them. So if you talk against vaccines, you're going to lose your license. That has happened. Andrew Wakefield is a good example. One of the most famous pediatricians in UK who warned people about the MMR vaccine lost his license to practice. And he warned based on statistics of his own clients, thousands of clients, where he saw the results of more harm coming to people who took the MMR vaccine a single shot MMR vaccine as against those who took individual MMR and those who didn't take, the MMR combined vaccine was causing more cases of serious, irreversible damage in people like autism and so on. So, or some sort of a damage to some of their, either the brain or their some organs. And when he warned people that if you want MMR, you better take individually, that was available that time, than taking combined, that's it. He lost his license. He's the guy who's making this series of movies today in USA called Vaxxed. So this is not just one example. There are plenty, but he became famous. There are a few doctors who have lost their license or given up their license out of disgust and gone into another profession. There are, and they are being taken out. They are being silenced. They are being kept out of the mainstream media. So I believe that the doctors that are still in practice have decided to play along with the cabal. That is why if you ask a doctor, give me a exemption certificate because my condition is so and so, I cannot, it's not healthy for me to wear a mask and I can prove it, but the doctor is most reluctant. Because for him, getting the job and the commission and the money, he has children to send to school and all, that is more important than honesty about my health. This is the case. So I'm so convinced that, family doctors I know that keep telling me I should take this vaccine and that vaccine, and I told you I don't take any vaccine and I don't get in any sickness. I had to tell them that you are so stupid. I mean, I don't want to discuss medicine with you. I come to you only because the government wants me to visit once a year. So I come, you take my height, you take my weight. At the most, you can take my blood pressure and that's it. Don't talk anything else because I consider you not qualified to discuss health with me. And you can be angry, you can do whatever, you can write down I am a bloody difficult person or I refuse to take vaccine, whatever you want to do. But just don't talk health with me. Just take my height, weight and leave it at that. You are good for that and that's it. That's all that you're good for. So this is the situation. I will hopefully figure out all by myself. There are lots of guidance, of course, how to use these kind of cameras to go live instead of the handphone. I tried it on the laptop, and the laptop also allows directly going on live on YouTube and on Facebook and a few other places. But I didn't like the laptop camera. That's usually not as good as standalone cameras. And even the handphone cameras are usually not as good as these cameras. So I want to hook it up and make it, and most of these electronic cameras can allow live streaming, but some things need to fall in place. You have to have the right HDMI cable, some capture card, right software. Most of them are free or very, very cheap, but it still needs practice and getting used to. So I'm in that process. And there is Dario Di Mio. I know you are from here, and thanks, Dario. It's good to see you. Another thing, I'm moving away from Facebook. Facebook is not restricting free speech as much as YouTube is or Google is. YouTube is owned by Google, by the way. And I have more than 500 videos. I don't remember how many, but it's definitely way more than 400 and probably cross 500. I haven't counted. They took down one video out of all these 500. And what was that? I challenged the science of COVID-19. Yeah, I'm not a microbiologist, but I'm in touch with them. I'm in touch with cellular biologists. I'm in touch with molecular biologists and immunologists and virologists and so on. And I am reasonably intelligent person, and I have not just talked on surface level. I've been talking with some of them for a long time to understand how biology works and why I do not believe in COVID-19. So when I questioned all this with scientific reference given, that was the video that was taken down by YouTube. Science has always been questioned. That is how science improves. Otherwise, the whole world will still believe Earth is in the center of the universe and everything goes around it. That was the system Greeks believed at that time. But why did it change? Because people questioned the established doctrine. That is how new science replaces old science. I know there are a lot of flat earthers around, those who believe Earth is flat, but I don't. But more importantly, the universe is not going around the Earth, but rather Earth and the planet and the solar system goes around the sun goes around its own galaxy, the galaxy itself is going around, everything is going around everything else, and the whole universe is expanding. All these things wouldn't have come around if people didn't question science. Isaac Newton gave a tremendous boost to science with his theories of gravitational pull and laws of motion and so on. But then came along quantum mechanics, quantum physics, people like Einstein and all that, Niels Bohr, and then we have a new definition, and that is that light does not necessarily travel in a straight line. In fact, space is defined by mass, and that events define time. Time is not an absolute. All these things that are all relative, the mass and energy are interchangeable. All these came about because people questioned science. And more will be done. But somehow, COVID-19 cannot be questioned. You question it, you are pulled down. COVID-19 is no more part of science. It has become a religion etched in stone. If you question it, you are a heretic. So, these are the reasons I am moving away from YouTube. I know I have a couple of thousand followers there. I could go live on YouTube, which is a good idea, better than, perhaps as good as going live on Facebook. I suspect there is a difference though. And my Facebook, when I go live on Facebook, mostly my Facebook friends see it, and most of my friends are generally in alignment with my ideas, so therefore I am preaching to the choir. I'm not reaching to people who question what is going on and the scientific authenticity of the steps being taken by the government. They are not watching my live video. Those who watch are already agreeable with my viewpoint, so I'm not breaking new ground and so on. This is my increasingly stronger opinion about going live on Facebook. It is good for bolstering my ego, but it doesn't solve much the problem. Anyway, this is what I feel. But YouTube is a different matter. A lot of the people on YouTube I don't know personally. Those who subscribe or follow me, I don't know personally. They are not necessarily of the same mindset, because you can tag a video and write down important tags. For instance, you can write Justin Trudeau, or you can write Donald Trump, or you can write global warming, you can write deep state, or vaccines are useless or vaccines are useful, and things like that. This attracts, when people are searching YouTube with some questions, sometimes these ones show up. Of course, YouTube now tries to control what shows up top and what shows up bottom, and if you say something that YouTube does not like to follow, that means you are protesting against COVID-19, they will probably put it down, and something else that supports COVID-19 will be put up. All these things are happening. Nonetheless, going live on YouTube might reach wider audience than on Facebook. So I need to go live on YouTube too, since I have, as I said, a couple of thousand followers, and I do owe them some of my rants. But then I'm going away from YouTube also because they dare to restrict, and they have, the CEO of YouTube has publicly on record commented, it's a woman, and YouTube is under Google, so she is taking orders from Google, that anybody that questions World Health Organization, anybody who questions COVID-19 science, those videos will be taken down. Yes. No question. World Health Organization is not an elected body of either USA or Canada or any country. It's an unelected body, it's outside, it's not even national, and it passes opinions without transparent proof. It has got yard-long list of nasty stuff that its organizations under it, like Codex Alimentarius has approved, which are not healthy for people, but which are good for profit making for big pharma and agro industries and so on. It has a nasty list, long, 2 generations long, and if they say something and you question it, YouTube will take it down. You cannot question WHO. WHO is the new God. WHO has become the new God. You cannot question the power or the opinion of new God. Gods do not have to prove anything. If God says something, that's it. That's final. You cannot question it. So this is this is what YouTube does, and that's why I opened the account in BitChute, which I don't know. You can go live on BitChute or not, but it doesn't matter. Going live is just a gimmick, Most people cannot watch you right when you're talking because they're in some other part of the world, they're busy, they're sleeping, they're at work, blah, blah. But they all have spare time sometime or the other when you may not be able to go on live, so they watch it afterwards, So making a video, not necessarily live, but with substance is important. And I aim to do more of that as well. But when it comes to going live, not just on Facebook, but also on YouTube and someplace else, I am now working quite a lot for these. And I also created an account on MeWe. I made a group called Tax Revolt there. I don't want thousands of people, but only 2-3 thinking guys, and I know that it takes time, and I have patience. We will attract, hopefully, people. I don't know Tax Revolt is the only idea, or there are some better ideas. I'm looking for them. Ideas that reach out to the normal people using arguments that are not so divisive, like whether COVID-19 is real or not real, but something more unifying, where people can see that their lifestyle is slipping away, and maybe there is a need to protect some of it, and we are going into uncharted territory. These kind of things are worth exploring, and I intend to explore. I don't want to spend endless time protesting on the roadside with just 20 people, where 20 doesn't become 500 or 2,000. It just remains 20, and I don't see how we are gaining in our effort to preserve our way of life and all that, and how to deal with the rapid changes coming. And so brainstorming is needed. I tried to do it at a local level, but I found out that friends that I acquired over the last 20 years through my work on glyphosate and food security and other parts, both in Canada, across USA, and also of late in India, those friends have become more durable. There are more long-lasting. They are more able to think outside the box and also engage in real work. People who preserve heirloom seeds, just because free seeds are disappearing, all seeds are becoming patented, so that in future you cannot even grow your own food. You cannot even eat your own food without paying somebody else the royalty, because they own patents on the seed. So those who are trying desperately to preserve unpatented, good quality, organic heirloom seeds are champions, according to me. They might eventually help mankind to survive. These guys never get any airtime anywhere, except that I understand the value. I do my little bit here, but that's the kind of people that deserve to be champions for the future world, and they are working. They're doing a thankless task, Some people I know are preserving 1,000 or 2,000 or 400, 500 varieties of a single general group of food like rice or wheat or something. And this is important. A majority of the earth is rice eating. Of course, the Western world is wheat eating, but there is more people eating rice, and and there is a serious effort to take away and destroy all these original varieties, and they are very specialized for specialized places. You don't need any fertilizer. You don't need, I mean, any industrial fertilizer. You don't need any weed killer at all. You just grow them organically, but some places are prone to floods. Some places the water is more brackish because it's very near the ocean. Some places are very arid. Some places the soil has more sulfur in it, and this and that. So all of them affect crops one way or another. So they have these people over the centuries and millennia have hybridized and found varieties that do well in brackish water, some varieties that do well in flood. Even 10 feet of standing water, this rice survives. Why? Because its stalk is more than 10 feet. It's 12 feet long, and the kernels and the seeds are on top of it. So when there is no flood, it cannot support such a huge thing. It falls on the ground, but the end stands up. That's how it grows. And when there is flood, it stands up above the flood. All other rice will die off if the flood water stays for a day or two or a couple of days, and this one will survive. So like that, there are specialized crops. They absolutely need to be preserved. Absolutely. And no, governments are not helping. Governments are trying to kill them. So these guys are, heroes that will hopefully help mankind survive. At least some of the mankind survive when catastrophe comes upon us from different ways. So these are the people I'm in touch with, and these are the people who can think outside the box. These kind of people are the ones who are true pathfinders, according to me. And I'm trying to find a better way of reconnecting with all these guys. I'm in contact with them, but how to maybe come together and find a more unified, more meaningful platform to exchange ideas. It's not that I'll never go to the roadside, but I don't find it worth our while. Yeah, it's good as a party, hang out with good friends you like and all that. That's true. But other than that, it's not achieving result. And if you're result oriented, bring them on camera. Bring Tracy Miller on camera. Okay, I don't know how to Miller on camera. There is a comment by somebody else, but anyway. So this is me. I think I already went much longer than I needed to. Take care, guys. I think it will be one of the last few live videos done on Facebook with a handphone, and I hope that in future I can do things with with this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking of going live on YouTube and other platforms, and also try to find, I'm trying to popularize the MeWe platform more than the Facebook. I'm getting a little tired of Facebook. But even on MeWe, although it's very low population, I like it because good thinking people are coming, and it will take some time, but I intend to hang out with smart people and try to exchange ideas. I already got in touch with quite a few people across from Halifax all the way to Alberta, apart from BC, and quite a lot of people. You know about Wayne Peters. He's doing amazing things. He's got loads of followers. I don't know, thousands of followers. When he goes live, he goes that often. He's put up a poster offering $30,000 reward to anybody who can provide Federation of Canada, that Canada is a constitutional federation, provide proof. He is offering 30,000 and he's gone and pasted it 100 feet from the entrance to Justin Trudeau's office in Ottawa, and he's taken a picture of it next to it. I mean, these are the kind of guys who are actually, worth staying in touch with. I know Doug Force, who arranges roundtable conferences online. He had invited me once, 1 or 2 weeks ago, and as a representative for British Columbia, I don't think I deserve that distinction. I'm not a representative from British Columbia, but nonetheless, he did it, and he hopefully will ask more people. I did tell him about Ryan Kulbaba and celebration of freedom and rights. He should call such people. Anyway, so there are lots of guys there. There is the Canadian Revolution who are camped outside of the Canadian Parliament. I met them personally. I went to visit them 2 days after Canada Day on the 3rd of July, and I took some group pictures with them, and fantastic. And some of them are still camped there, and they don't want to move unless the government steps down, the treasonous government of Justin Trudeau relinquishes power and so on, or they go to jail, whatever. So these are real freedom fighters. I mean, they're not here to joke around, So I love them. I met Cody Haller, fantastic guy, and I'm waiting to. I'm still in touch with them. I had a few phone calls with him and email exchanges. I know Miranda of the same group. Her last name is a little bit odd, Ramillard. Anyway, she is also there, camped outside, and it's tough because she's a mother. She's got kids, and it's not easy to be camped outside in a field, in a park, and not have your own home, your own toilet, your own air conditioning. It's very hot in Ottawa. You have to travel, you have to walk some distance to find a toilet. You have to, find ways to cook your food or have food that is restaurants, and it's difficult, and they are staying put, and they have so much of my respect, instead of bullshitting around. And so these are the people I like to stay in touch with, and that's about it. I'm not cutting links. Well, I've cut links with few that I find are how to say, kind of rogues. I mean, they talk about doing good things, but they're behind the scene. They're unsavory characters, and they're kind of charlatans, and they misuse people's money. Another thing, I am not very fond of people who are trying to use this loss of freedom as a platform to sell products and earn money. Everybody has a right to earn money, but I don't find it being comfortable hanging out there, because most of the people who are protesting are not super rich. Many of them are old, many of them are retired, many of them have a limited budget, and then asking them to pay money to fight this, whereas all those people who are rich or who have a stable job, the young people, they are not contributing anything. Anyway, asking for money to fight this cause is somehow I'm not impressed. I genuinely believe that money cannot solve this problem for a reason. If money is what is needed to fight this battle, we have already lost the battle, we have lost the war, because the other side has way more money. Whatever money we can raise, whatever, they can increase it thousandfold without even batting an eyelid. So if money is the fulcrum that will decide which way the war swings, we have lost the war. We have lost the war. So according to me, we have to find a tactic. We have to find an arsenal. We have to find weaponry that money cannot buy. If we cannot find such a tactic, we are doomed. if we keep trying to play their game, which they invented and which they controlled, money, then we are not winning anything. So that's it for now. And thanks everybody for watching. I'm going to log off now. And like I said, I'm still trying very hard last few days to learn how to go live using mirrorless cameras like these or bigger mirrorless cameras like these and not handphones, and do it in a better style, not only to go live but also to use for Zoom meetings and other kind of meetings where like-minded people can discuss what can still be discussed. I don't know how long we will be even allowed to have this kind of discussions before the system begins to shut down or system begins to control our access, especially people like us who are cantankerous, who can talk off the cuff. Thank you. This is Tony Mitra, 26th of July, signing off. Bye.